Good evening and welcome to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Virtual Public Information Meeting for Project 6296 for the replacement of Bridge 2591 carrying Route 97 over Fuller Brook in the town of Hampton. My name is Kevin Blasi and I'm the project manager for the project being presented this evening. On May 13th, 2021, our project team presented this project to Hampton First Selectman Alan Cahill. Along with the details specific to the bridge, we discussed the proposed detour and the project schedule. We also discussed the coordination that will be necessary with neighboring towns to ensure that quick emergency responses are maintained during the bridge closure period. Coordination with the town will continue as we advance the project through its design. Before we begin the formal presentation, I'll explain the format of this evening's meeting and cover some general housekeeping items. First, I'll introduce the project team from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Bart Sweeney, Division Chief of Bridges. Andy Cardinali, Bridge Design Principal Engineer. Once again, I'm Kevin Blasi, Bridge Design Project Manager. Jacob Platt, Bridge Design Project Engineer. And the following individuals will be presenting the project to you in a moment. Andrew Shields, Bridge Design Project Designer. And Matt Giannakopoulos, Right-of-Way Coordinator from the Office of Rights-of-Way. And Matt will provide an overview of the procedures followed for the department for rights-of-way impacts to properties and property acquisitions. Following the formal presentation, the project team will host a question and answer session during which time you'll have the opportunity to ask the project team questions or provide comments regarding the proposed project. The project is at the 30% design phase and is therefore subject to possible changes as the design develops, but this evening's presentation will provide you with a good overview of what can be expected. Your comments and questions are a welcome part of our design process and may serve us in the continued development of our design. During the Q&A session that follows the presentation, there are 3 methods of communicating with the project team. You can send us an email to dotproject-96@ct.gov. You can leave a voicemail by calling 860-944-1111. And if you leave a voicemail, we ask that you reference this project since the line is shared by other projects. Or if viewing through MS Teams, you can send us a question through the MS Teams chat window and hit the send button. And you'll be presented with more detail on that in a moment. Please be aware that the period to receive questions or comments extends through Tuesday, July 13th. So if you think of a question after tonight's event, or if you'd like to be provided with more detail on an answer to a question that we provide during the Q&A session, you can certainly send us an email or leave us a voicemail and we'll get back to you within a few business days. If you are viewing through Microsoft Teams, you can post a question or comment by clicking the little question mark to the top right of the presentation window and clicking the My Questions tab or the Ask a Question button. You then have an option to enter your name and type your question into the Ask a Question field. Click the checkbox to post anonymously, then click the double arrow or hit enter to post a question. Click Featured to view announcements and attendee questions. You may experience a delay before your own sent question is posted. You can exit the questions window by clicking X and can return to it at any time by clicking the Show Q&A question mark. Click the My Questions tab to post another question or hit X to close the window again. To maximize the presentation window, click the arrow to the bottom right of the presentation window and click the arrow again to reduce the window size. In accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Humanity, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. I'll mention this again later, but at the conclusion of our presentation, we would appreciate it if you could take the time to complete our voluntary survey at https:// www.surveymonkey.com/r/WP-D7CBW. The Title VI notice to the public can be found at https://portal.ct.gov/business/contract-compliance/title-vi-page. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube within a few days after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. And with those housekeeping items out of the way, I'll now hand it off to project designer Andrew Shields to begin the formal portion of our presentation. Thanks very much for your patience.
Thank you for the introduction, Kevin, and good evening all. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Andrew Shields, and I'm the designer for Project 6296 on Route 97 in Hampton. We're looking at removing and replacing the current structure, bridge number 02591, due to its age and condition on Pomfret Road over Fuller Brook, approximately 1/2 mile north of the Hampton Elementary School. Our department objective is to convey all necessary details of the proposed job in order to hopefully answer any and all of your questions, comments, and concerns regarding this replacement project in an effective and timely manner. Shown here is a topographic map of the area with north at the top of our screen. The bridge site is now circled in orange, with important roadways and riverways in the area also called out. Here we have the project site aerial view, again with north pointing to the top of the screen. You can see that we're further zoomed in to see the nearby features and roadways that make up our project site. Fuller Brook passes under our bridge, and Utley Road connects from the west to our north-south running Pomfret Road, otherwise known as the Connecticut Route 97 roadway. The existing single-span culvert, or otherwise known as a tuttle for a waterway, was built in 1935 as an 8-foot tall by 6-foot wide archway that was lengthened to the east at an unknown date. This culvert lengthening was due to raising as well as widening the roadway for various reasons. The newer part of the culvert is a 6-foot tall by 6-foot wide square outlet, which is built from masonry abutments with a concrete deck slab supporting the hillside above. The small culvert opening is not sized to convey the full flow of a 100-year storm event. The existing structure's span is 6 feet with a length from inlet to outlet of approximately 63'6". The roadway is about 30 feet wide and holds 2 lanes of traffic running north-south. The roadway serves approximately 900 vehicles daily, with around 3% of that traffic being trucks. The state's bridges are inspected biannually to monitor changes in condition. The bridge was last inspected in February of 2021, and the rating system on screen presents the element ratings for the deck, superstructure, and substructure. These elements are rated on a scale from 1 to 9, with 1 being imminent failure and 9 being excellent. Bridge 02591 is mainly comprised of 2 parts: the superstructure, which is the part that actually does the bridging from one side to the other, and the substructure, which is the part of the bridge that holds up the span itself. The superstructure is rated as a 4 of 9, which qualifies as poor, and the substructure qualifies as a 7 of 9. Only when the bridge drops to a poor condition rating, 4, does it become a candidate for a rehabilitation or replacement project. We would like to clarify that the bridge is structurally sound and remains safe for all passenger vehicles and trucks at this time and poses no safety concern to the public. On the left, we can see Pomfret Road running northbound with the Utley Road intersection coming from the west. On the right-hand side of our screen, we can see Pomfret Road looking south. The east elevation, shown on the left, is the inlet side of Bridge 02591. Note that the inlet is built into a large retaining wall that supports the roadway. The west elevation is on the right side of our screen, in which the outlet of the culvert dumps into a 3-foot deep scour pool seen at the base of the structure. This natural feature, as well as other structures in the waterway, both upstream and further downstream, inhibit fish movement in the area. This site is riddled with constraints, making the design a real challenge when looking at accessibility. The existing downstream culvert slope is at a 1-to-1 grade from the northbound travel lane shoulder down about 20 feet in elevation to the ceiling of our culvert outlet. On the inlet side, a heaving and non-square natural stone retaining wall buries the culvert with about 15 feet of fill below the roadway. The depth at which this structure is set at, as well as the surrounding steep slopes in the area, pose a great challenge to the feasibility and constructability of this project. The existing inlet retaining wall appears to be natural stone covered in shotcrete. The wall appears to be heaving and is covered in peeling shotcrete and major cracking throughout the face of the structure. At the base of our inlet retaining wall, the archway can be seen here, missing critical sections of material, thus allowing large amounts of water to leak into the culvert from above. This prolonged leaking further erodes away more of the structure as time goes on, making the archway weaker. The newer frame downstream of the archway of the culvert shows evidence of scour underneath the abutments, which means water is eroding away at the base of the walls. The ceiling deck is also cracking and exposing rusted rebar. The outlet wing walls of the substructure can be seen here. The bond between the stones is failing, which means the stones themselves are no longer anchored in place. Thus, their ability to adequately hold back the hillside is compromised. We were able to obtain a 3D site model by completing a site survey. Running from north to south across the screen, we can see Pomfret Road here. On the left or inlet side of the roadway, we can see the retaining wall highlighted here. Running perpendicular under that roadway is the existing culvert shown here. At the end of the culvert, we have the outlet on the east side of the roadway shown here. The proposed conditions we intend to meet for the site are putting in a larger culvert that's slightly realigned and lengthened to better handle the stream load, as well as eliminate the need for a retaining wall on the inlet side to save cost on the project. The proposed culvert design is approximately 5 times the opening size of the current culvert and is shown here. We next aim to put in larger wing walls at both the inlet and outlet to act as retaining walls and hold back the surrounding hillside shown here. We want to restore the roadway to similar conditions shown here that currently exist on site, but just have slightly larger shoulders along the roadway for safety considerations. New culvert will look similar to the one pictured here. It's known as a precast 3-sided frame culvert, similar to the existing open bottom culvert on site, meaning it is open on the bottom so that the natural stream bed can remain untampered with. It will sit atop a foundation made of micropiles and pile caps, which is a common foundation style for deep and rocky excavations like we expect to have with this design. The new culvert will be approximately 8'6" longer and 16 foot wider than the original culvert. In order to complete this project, we will need to temporarily move the overhead utilities to a location that will accommodate construction activities without conflict. There are no underground utilities that will require temporary relocation. Shown here is the existing layout for the wires. What we aim to do on site is temporarily relocate the main roadway utilities upstream about 50 feet from the roadway to ensure they stay out of the project site. We also need to consider resident overhead utility relocation because an access road will be placed in the southeast corner of the site where a current residential utility hookup lies. The intended goal of the overhead utility relocation is to keep them all on one side of the bridge upon its completion for potential ease of future maintenance in the area. While relocating these overhead utilities, it is clear that land outside of the state right-of-way will be required. Therefore, temporary and possible permanent impacts to private property will be necessary to complete this bridge replacement. The areas that are expected to be impacted are shown here and will need to be cleared of vegetation. I will now hand the presentation over to our DOT Rights-of-Way Coordinator, Matt Giannakopoulos, to help explain this acquisition process.
My name is Matt Giannakopoulos, and I am a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. It is our office's responsibility to acquire the property rights needed for transportation projects. The proposed project design requires the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the department's right-of-way acquisition process. Please keep in mind, though, that the specific impacts are still being fine-tuned and may change as the design progresses. Any property rights that will be required will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes Sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E. Whenever there is federal money used in any aspect of a project, the department must adhere to the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Once the design has moved to the point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights and use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. Property owner will have a reasonable time, typically at least 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. If an agreement is reached, the states will prepare all the necessary paperwork and record the deed and the property map on the town land records. However, if negotiations reach an impasse, in order to keep everything on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money that was deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner, subject to the discretion of the Superior Court. I know a lot of people, when they hear the phrase eminent domain, thinks that it means the state just takes their property for $1. However, the owners are entitled to at least the state's original offer of just compensation, and the state only takes title to the property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the department's right-of-way acquisition process, I'd be happy to address them once the presentation has concluded.
Shown here is a 3D model of our existing project site looking at the inlet retaining wall on the near side of the bridge from upstream. This is phase 1 of our proposed construction schematic and will consist of clearing and building temporary access roads for the overhead utility relocation, moving those overhead utilities as previously discussed, and preparing the site for construction operations. Construction phase 2 is comprised of our material removal. As shown, we're looking to excavate a partial pit where our roadway once was. As the excavation progresses, a team will also remove the majority of the retaining wall. The parts of it that will be left over at the end of the excavation will be buried in place to save on both project cost as well as time. In conjunction with the wall demolition, The culvert will also be carefully removed so as to cause minimal to no disturbance to our stream bed. Phase 3 is our construction phase of the new bridge 02591. After the excavation has been completed, all foundation elements as well as the culvert precast members will be transported to the site and with the help of a crane be hoisted into their new place. The new culvert will sit a few feet higher than the original so that it will be closer to the roadway surface. This will aid in saving time when constructing the culvert as well as make future maintenance a smoother operation all around. The new culvert will be backfilled after its installation. It's expected that some of the excavated soil will be suitable for reuse as backfill. After the backfilling process of the site is complete, the utilities will be then relocated to their final condition as previously shown. Reconstruction of the roadway, planting of the site, installation of guide rail, and line striping will complete the project work. Upon completion of those tasks, the bridge will be ready to reopen for use. Because of site constraints previously noted, it's not possible to keep traffic moving through the project site during construction of the new structure. As such, Route 97 must be closed to permit the necessary operations for the installation of the culvert. The proposed detour will be signed along state routes to minimize the use of local routes by through traffic. It is expected that local residents will use local roads as a shorter route around the bridge closure. While the closure is in effect, local roads will not be signed as part of the detour. Our proposed detour is approximately 21.39 miles, mainly comprised of 4 roadways: Route 97, Route 6, Route 169, and Route 44. This closure period is planned to last an estimated 14 weeks, beginning around the summer of 2024. The department understands that the impact that a lengthy detour, both in miles and time, will have on town residents. As the design continues to develop, we continue to thoroughly investigate accelerated bridge construction methods which may shorten the time the detour may need to be in place. An environmental review of the project area determined that there are no endangered species which could be impacted by the project. Fish species were not present in Fuller Brook proximate to the bridge due to significant grade changes along the stream bed. The permits anticipated to complete this project are the United States Army Corps of Engineers pre-construction notification and the General Department of Energy and Environmental Protection Inland Wetland General Permit. The utility relocation work can be performed while Route 97 remains open, and this work is currently scheduled to occur in fall of 2023 over the course of a few weeks. In an effort to avoid impacting any school bus routes at the beginning of the school year, the proposed start of the approximate 14-week road closure is currently scheduled to begin in early to mid-May 2024. With that proposed schedule, it is anticipated that Route 97 would be reopened prior to the start of the 2024-2025 school year. Coordination with the town will continue and all efforts will be made to minimize the impact of the detour on emergency services, the school, local businesses, and residents. The project is estimated to cost $2.35 million, 80% of which is federally funded and 20% of which is state funds. No local funding will be necessary for this project. This now concludes my part of the presentation, and I will now hand the presentation back off to Kevin Blasi.
Thank you, Andrew. And that concludes our formal presentation of the project. I'd like to thank the project team for a great job in putting that presentation together. And I'd also like to thank those people behind the scenes who are instrumental in helping us get this live event out to all of you who are viewing it tonight. At this time, we will begin the question and answer portion of the event. Once again, our project team will be monitoring the chat window, the project email, and the phone line for any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or offer, and we'll do our best to answer them with as much detail and clarity as possible. Since we are monitoring the chat, email, and phone in real time, please understand that there may be a delay from the time you submit a question to the time it is posted to the chat window and addressed by our project team. Please remember that the comment period is open through Tuesday, July 13th. So if you think of a question after this event has ended, or if we provide an answer to a question this evening but you'd like additional details, please reach out to us at any point through the comment period and we'll get back to you with an answer. So to reiterate, you can reach us at this time by sending an email to dotproject62-96@ct.gov. You can reach us by phone by leaving a voicemail at 860-944-1111. And again, please reference the project. And both the email and phone will be available through Tuesday, July 13th. Or you can send us a chat through MS Teams tonight. Whether contacting us through email or voicemail, we will not include your name with your question unless you specifically request us to do so. And remember, if you send a comment by MS Teams chat, you will have the option to post a question anonymously. All questions that come in during the session will be posted to the chat window and read aloud for the project team to answer. In the coming days, the formal portion of this presentation will be posted to the YouTube project channel, and a report of meeting which captures the event's Q&A session will be posted to the project webpage. Closed captioning options will be available for the YouTube video at that time. If you have the time to accommodate us, we'd also really appreciate it if you'd take our survey at https://www.surveymonk.com/r/WPD7CBW. Results from the survey will be used to provide enhancements to our future presentations. That link is also available in the chat window at the bottom of the project webpage and in the description field of the project YouTube channel. Once again, the public comment period is open through July 13th, during which time you can reach us through the project email and voicemail. Thanks again for taking the time out of your evening to view our presentation. We hope it was educational and informative. At this time, the project team will be answering any questions that come in. Thank you once again. So Jake, a question has come in by voicemail. Can you please run through the detour again, if you don't mind doing that for us?
So here we have the detour map that we are proposing. We have the bridge shown here in the orange circle. So if we are to go south of the bridge, we would go south on Route 97 down this way, turn left onto Route 6, and then at the end of Route 6, we would turn left again onto Route 169 to go north, and then we would come to Route 101 for a short distance and then merge onto Route 44. Then at the end of 44, we would turn left back onto Route 97.
Thanks, Jake. Jake, a question has come in. Can you go over the schedule for the detour again, if you don't mind doing that for us?
Sure. So we anticipate starting the utility relocation in the fall of 2023. Construction will start in the summer of 2024 with the detour starting around mid-May of 2024.
Thank you. Okay, Jake, questions come in by email. How long will the new bridge last?
The new bridge is designed to last for a minimum of 75 years.
Thank you. Folks, I want to mention for those of you viewing on YouTube that the contact info, the website, which is not a hyperlink, but the website address and the survey is below the video in the description portion of YouTube. If you scroll down and click the show more to expand the description fields, you'll see that information. Again, folks, you can reach us by email at dotproject62-96@ct.gov. You can leave a voicemail at 860-944-1111. Please reference this project. The line is shared by other projects. And you can reach us by posting a question in the MS Teams chat field. Jacob, questions come in. Are you going to maintain access to Utley Road through construction?
It will be possible to maintain access to Utley Road from Route 97 during the project. Pomfret Road will most likely be closed just south of that intersection between Utley Road and Route 97.
Thank you. Jake, a question has come in. The caller by phone, the caller appreciates the presentation and the renderings, and notes that it's a timely project to undertake, but questions or has concerns, including the tunnel for wildlife passage for small animals, is how it's the question has been relayed here. If you want to go into some detail on how we consider the wildlife passage.
Yeah, sure. So environmental regulations typically require that the stream bed be graded in such a way to provide a type of shelf, natural shelf for all new buried structures that would provide passage for wildlife through the structure. So we do plan on including a shelf.
Thank you. Folks, again, the email dotproject62-96@ct.gov. Voicemail 860-944-1111. Reference this project, please, if leaving a voicemail. And the MS Teams chat field. Thank you. Okay, Jake, so a question's come in. Can you explain again why the detour is necessary?
Yeah. So let's go back one slide here real quick. So as Andrew mentioned earlier in the presentation, the site on both sides of the culvert have very steep slopes, and the structure is buried beneath the roadway about 20 feet. So these two in conjunction would require a substantial amount of excavation, as well as make it fairly difficult to stage this project to keep one lane of traffic to the site without a substantial additional rights-of-way impact, as well as tree removal along Route 97. Staging the project in that way would likely require 2 construction seasons. Now this equates to about 2 years to build the project, and the staging would likely double or even triple the project cost.
Thanks, Jake. Folks, I'll remind you again, hoping to get some more questions in here tonight. We've got your attention on this project. The email, dotproject62 2-96@ct.gov. Voicemail 860-944-1111. Please reference the project. And you can leave a chat or a question or comment rather in the MS Teams live event chat field. Thank you. Folks, any more questions? We're here if you have anything for us. So I want to remind those who are viewing that you can, if you don't mind, if you would, you can fill out our optional survey. The link is https://www.surveymonkeywpd7cbw. If you have an opportunity and don't mind taking another few moments out of your evening to fill out that survey, it'll go a long way to helping us improve our presentations in the future. Thanks very much. And folks, we'll give it another few minutes. I do want to give it a little extra time here as somebody may be typing a question or leaving a voicemail, especially for folks watching on YouTube. I think we've got typically a minute or so delay, so want to be sure that if folks are just hearing a message that I said a minute ago about getting a question in, that we're capturing that. And folks, if you leave a question and we end the meeting prematurely without addressing your question, we will be fielding questions again. We'll be monitoring the voicemail and the project email until July 13th, until Tuesday, July 13th, when the comment period ends. So you do have that time to get us questions and we will respond to those questions. Thank you. Okay, I'm getting a message from our team that a message has come in. So if you'll give me just a moment, we'll collect that and post it to the meeting chat. Okay, so the caller who called earlier about the wildlife passage, I believe it was, if I'm correctly capturing the spirit of the voicemail, has left another message asking for a further explanation of that. And I believe there was an email sent as well from that person. What I think we could do, oh, okay, so there's a, I think what we could do for this caller is we can respond to you by email and provide more information, because it's a little bit so we do provide enough width of the structure to provide wildlife passage, but I think we need to circle back with you individually by email if that's acceptable. So I think we'll do that.
Kevin, this is Andy Cardinelli.
Yeah, hey, Andy.
Maybe Jake, if you can bring back the rendering, the proposed rendering that shows the three-sided frame. That kind of illustrates a little bit. As you can look at the outlet there, you can see some grass on the either side of the waterway there. That would be what would be considered the critter passageway, and that continues all the way through the culvert. So small animals would be able to travel along that route to get through the passageway without having to go over the roadway.
Right. Thank you.
Hopefully that answers our caller's question. And if it doesn't, please submit another email or question, and we can certainly address it again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andy. So we'll give one last check of the voicemail and email, and I think we'll call it an evening at that point, if there are no further questions. Okay, folks, so I think we'll call it an evening. I want to remind everybody that for one last time, you can email us at dotproject62-96@ct.gov, and you can leave a voicemail at 860-944-1111. You can leave the email or voicemail throughout the comment period, which ends on Tuesday, July 13th. And we will get back to you with any comments or questions, or any questions I should say, that you may have. So thank you for your time this evening, for taking in our presentation. I hope we were thorough in providing the information regarding the project at the this 30% design phase. We will be coordinating with the town throughout this design, and thank you for your evening. Everybody have a nice evening.